We've all seen the pictures, the fire, the smoke, the sheer spectacle of the Saturn V climbing into the heavens. It's the symbol of America's triumph in the space race. But for every story of victory, there's another, often untold. The story of a ghost, a titan from the east that never quite got off the ground. The story of the Soviet N-1. This isn't just about two rockets. It's about two nations, two ideologies, and two radically different paths to the moon. The Cold War was a global struggle, a political and military standoff that bled into every part of life, and especially into the new frontier of space. For both the US and the USSR, rockets weren't just about exploration. They were statements of national power, developed from the same technology used for long-range weapons. When the Soviets launched Sputnik in 1957 on a rocket capable of carrying a thermonuclear warhead to the US, the race was on. The ultimate prize? A human lunar landing. To understand the rivalry, you have to look at the machines themselves. The N-1, a colossal machine designed to be the Soviets' answer to the American challenge, stood 105 meters tall with a massive base 17 meters wide. Fully fueled, it weighed an estimated 2,735 metric tons. The American counterpart, the Saturn V, developed under the direction of Wernher von Braun, was slightly taller at 110.6 meters and had a narrower diameter of 10.1 meters. Its fully fueled mass reached approximately 2,970,000 kilograms. It's still the most powerful rocket ever brought to operational status. The Saturn V could launch a payload of 48,600 kilograms to translunar injection, while the N-1's payload was a significantly smaller 23.5 tons. But the real story isn't in the size, it's in the approach. The fundamental difference between these two giants was their propulsion philosophy. The N-1's first stage was powered by a staggering 30 NK-15 engines. Why so many? Because the Soviets couldn't develop a single, high-thrust engine like the US could at the time. They had trouble with stable combustion in larger motors, so they opted for a clustered approach out of necessity, believing it offered redundancy. Each NK-15 engine produced a respectable 1,526 kilonewtons of thrust. The Saturn V, on the other hand, relied on just 5 Rocketdyne F1 engines for its first stage. Each one was an absolute beast, and the F1 remains the most powerful single combustion chamber liquid propellant rocket engine ever developed. Each F1 engine produced an astounding 6,770 kilonewtons of thrust, more than 4 times the thrust of a single NK-15. The F1 wasn't easy to build. It was plagued by combustion instability, a problem engineers solved by literally detonating small explosive charges inside the engine during firing tests. This meticulous test-to-perfection approach ensured the F-1's combustion was so stable it could self-damp instability within a tenth of a second. The Soviets, however, were constrained by the single-use nature of their pyrotechnic-ignited NK-15 engines, which meant they couldn't be individually test-fired before launch. They had to learn in flight, embracing a trial-by-flying philosophy that carried immense risk. This difference in engine philosophy led to a fatal flaw in the N-1's design. Its control system, KORD, had to manage all 30 engines. If one engine failed, KORD had to shut down an opposing engine to maintain balance. The N-1 could only afford to lose 2 engines before the mission was critically compromised. With 30 engines, the statistical probability of a failure was high, and the system had little room for error. The Saturn V's system was far more robust. Its 4 outer F-1 engines could be hydraulically gimbaled to steer the rocket, providing effective control, and it had a critical engine-out capability. If one engine failed, the guidance system could simply burn the remaining 4 longer to compensate, reaching the necessary velocity. We saw this famously on Apollo 13, when an engine shut down early due to pogo oscillations. The Saturn V's resilience saved the mission. For the N-1, such an event would have been catastrophic. The outcome was inevitable. The Saturn V was launched 13 times from the Kennedy Space Center, and every single one was a successful launch, with no loss of crew or payload during ascent. It remains a benchmark for reliability. The N-1, it never became operational. It launched 4 times, and each flight ended in catastrophic failure. The 4th and final launch on November 23, 1972, epitomizes the challenge. The flight lasted just 107 seconds, and the investigation later concluded that a turbopump on engine number 4 failed, causing a cascade of failures. The N-1 program was canceled. The N-1, a magnificent rocket on paper, a testament to a different kind of engineering genius, was ultimately a poignant reminder of the formidable challenges and the harsh lessons learned on the path to the stars. The Saturn V's success, built on powerful, meticulously tested engines, secured America's victory in the race to the moon. The rivalry between the N-1 and Saturn V was more than a contest of raw power. It was a clash of engineering philosophies under the intense pressure of a global ideological struggle. The N-1's legacy reminds us that there are no shortcuts to orbit. The Saturn V's legacy endures, a monument to a meticulous, uncompromising approach to engineering excellence. Today, echoes of both approaches can be seen in modern rocketry, from NASA's SLS to SpaceX's multi-engine designs. But for all the technology, all the computers, all the new materials, the fundamental lessons remain the same. And they were learned long ago, in a Cold War rivalry that took us to the moon and beyond.